I am a simple person. I see the term psychological horror and I'll watch it, I'll play it, I'll read it. It is for sure my favorite horror subgenre and mostly the only one that can get under my skin. I do believe there is nothing more horrifying than the human mind. Originally, the term was used to refer to horror that relies on inner experiences, normally blurring the lines between reality and delusion. The problem is, though, the term itself has become diluted in the last few years. Apparently, it's been the buzzword for horror media during the last decade or so, in a way that now it's impossible to know if the work is indeed psychological horror or if the label is only being used as a marketing strategy. This has been especially true for video games. Actually, I first noticed this problem when I saw the game Ikai being advertised as psychological horror. Excuse me? This is a game about feudal Japanese folklore. It's literal ghosts and monsters and curses. What is the psychological aspect exactly? Then I just started noticing this all the time. It was driving me nuts. Hello, Spooky here. Spooky games for spooky people. If the algorithm brought you to this channel, heed your call and maybe stay for a while. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how the psychological horror subgenre has become so bastardized that it's virtually meaningless now. Why do I care about this? Because now it's become really difficult to find a piece of media that actually fits the label. For now, we're going to focus on video games, but this has also become the norm for books and films. If you find this video informative or entertaining at all, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel, but only if you think I deserve it. So stay till the end and make your own conclusions. As I was saying, psychological horror has simply become a trendy label for developers to advertise their games. There is, however, a common pattern for these kind of games. What they mean most of the times is that the games do not rely on gore or jump scares or any obvious horror tactics. Instead, these experiences are based on character development, slow-paced storylines, and more subtle scares. Sometimes it's also used to distinguish games that are not based on survival or action sequences. This is all fine and dandy, and I do enjoy slow-burn walking simulators which rely more on atmosphere than cheap spooks. However, I think we need to understand that psychological horror is not an approach to how games are played, but rather, it's a thematic approach. The roots of psychological horror in literature and cinema explore themes such as unstable perception, identity, mental illness, paranoia, distortions of reality. There is often a focus on internal fears, so it's common to find character studies based on guilt, depression, or trauma. In summary, if we get a glimpse of the character's subjective point of view, it's safe to assume this is psychological horror done right. That means we should rule out external forces such as ghosts, monsters, demons, sorcery, zombies, vampires. The horrors should remain within. Here's a simple example. Imagine a piece of media about a man who sees demon-like figures everywhere. Let's imagine now two possible conclusions to this concept. One, it turns out a witch has cursed this person and now there are literal demons following his every step. Maybe the only way to stop them is to perform a ritual. This means the story is supernatural horror, more specifically occult horror. The horrors are external. But what if too, in the end it is revealed that the man is in his deathbed and everything we see is a reminiscence of his life? The demons he sees represent his guilt and regrets, and it's all the delusion of a dying mind. That is psychological horror done right. Lately, the term psychological horror has been used more as an indicator of a gameplay style, but in reality it should be understood as a thematic core. Making this distinction is important, at least to me, because I really love the genre when it's treated accurately. I really think gamers and developers would benefit from understanding this difference so that they can fully explore the depths of what this approach has to offer. What are some examples of psychological horror done right in video games? The most obvious answer is Silent Hill 2. As soon as we know that the town is a subjective representation of James's inner struggle, the game takes a whole new perspective. Similarly, the game Layers of Fear is a purely psychological exploration of the main character's tragic past, and it's displayed through the morphing environment, hallucinations, and distorted memories. Finally, another excellent instance is Omori, truly one of the most devastating, horrifying games in the genre. Most of the game is literally set on the main character's headspace, so we can't go wrong with this one. And you see what I mean? These games are stylistically quite different. One of them is a third-person fixed camera game that originally used tank controls. The next one is a first-person walking simulator with a few puzzles thrown in. And finally, we have a pixel art game with classic JRPG mechanics. What they have in common is the themes and the way they are dealt with. What games are not psychological horror? Fatal Frame isn't, it's supernatural horror. Literal Ghosts. Outlast isn't, it's more of a survival game with a sci-fi twist at the end. Alien Isolation isn't, that's a literal alien creature. You see where I'm going? And don't get me wrong, these are fine games, but they often get mislabeled as being psychological. Even the Unrealized PT, which inspired so many full-length games, is arguably not psychological horror. As far as we know, Lisa is an actual supernatural manifestation, but we don't have all the info, unfortunately. As long as the video game industry keeps milking this term, it's going to be a real pain in the ass for lovers of psychological horror games to find experiences that actually meet our expectations. I guess game developers and marketing teams just think using this label sounds really serious and prestigious, but all they're doing is blurring the lines between horror subgenres and making it difficult for gamers to find what we're looking for. In short, psychological horror as a subgenre is misused so often that it doesn't mean much anymore. However, now that you know the difference, I encourage you to use the term accurately and, who knows, maybe correct others on its use and become the most annoying person at the party. Thank me later. I have a deep love for this subgenre, and all I'm asking for is for people like me to have an easier time moving around in our niche without being misled. What are some actual psychological horror games you know about? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I play and comment 5 horror games every week, so there will be something new for you to watch all the time. I'm also thinking of posting this kind of essays / rants every once in a while. Thanks a lot for watching, and remember, follow this account if you'd like to see more horror video games. See ya.